Welcome to the World History 1 lecture series. At the end of each slide there will be a 10-second delay. Use this time to pause the presentation and complete your notes. When you are done, push play and you will move forward. This lecture will begin in 5 seconds.
Welcome to the World History 1 End of Course review on classical Rome and the Byzantine Empire. And we are now at the point in the cycle of civilization where we see how civilizations rise and fall. And the best way to do that is to look at Unit 6 and 7, Rome and Byzantine, topics 6.1 to 7.3. With that said, go to the next slide. Today we look at issues related to Unit 6, Classical Rome, and Unit 7, the Byzantine Empire. Open your notes to Unit 6 and read along. If you see something that you do not understand, go back into your notes or find the lecture on the topic that you need help with. We start with Roman geography and mythology, topic 6.1, and we learn that Rome is centered on the Italian peninsula, and Rome the city is the center of the Roman world. You must be able to locate the Italian peninsula on a map. So, here's a map of the Mediterranean basin. Let's find some landmarks. Here's the Mediterranean Sea, here's Egypt, here's Greece, and inside the red box is the Italian peninsula. Now, Rome starts on the Italian peninsula. It is centrally located. It is also protected to the north by the Alps Mountains. It has two river valleys, that's the Po and the Tiber, that's the one that Rome's in, and it is surrounded by water, the Mediterranean Sea, which makes it distant from every other civilization except one, Carthage. Rome also adopts Greek mythology as its own, and that influences Western symbols. How much are they influenced? These are the planets, and they're named after Roman gods. So let's look at our Roman gods versus our Greek gods. We have Jupiter, who is Zeus, Juno, who is Hera, Apollo is Apollo. Venus is Aphrodite, Diana is Artemis, Minerva is Athena, Neptune is Poseidon, and Pluto is Hades. Go to the next slide. Next, we learned about Roman social structure and government, topic 6.2, and we learned that Rome has four distinct time periods. They were a monarchy, a republic, a dictatorship, and an empire, and we studied how they went from being a republic through a dictatorship into an empire. To understand this, we start by understanding Roman society. Roman society is split into three classes: patricians, who include the male nobility and the male ruling class. They are the male minority. Plebeians are the male majority, and then we have women, non-citizens, and slaves. But here's the thing, both patricians and plebeians are citizens. So, patricians have more power, plebeians have less power, and women and slaves have no power. Now let's look at Roman government. The Roman government is the foundation for a modern representative democracy. And there are things in Roman government that we see here today in the United States, but the government is very different back in Republican Rome. There are two councils. Those are patrician co-presidents who run the country. Then we have the Senate. Those are appointed patricians who basically advise the co-councils and spend money. And then we have the assembly. Those are elected plebeians who make the laws. Finally, we have magistrates who answer to the councils. And eventually, we'll have something called the Council of Orders, where we are no longer just appointing patricians to the Senate. Eventually, both patricians and plebeians will serve in the Senate. Go to the next slide. We then learned how Rome is different than the other civilizations we studied before it by looking at the Punic Wars, topic 6.3, and we learned that Carthage is centered on a trading port and is the only civilization that challenges Rome in the western Mediterranean basin. So, on the Italian peninsula we have Rome in the red, and in North Africa we have Carthage in the purple. Why do these two civilizations go after each other? Well, Rome and Carthage want to control the same part of the world, which causes competition for trade between the two civilizations. Plus Rome is becoming imperialistic. This is the rise of the land of the macho guys. So we fight the Punic Wars, and there are 3 Punic Wars. The first Punic War is Rome on the high seas. Rome breaks a treaty with Carthage. Rome attacks Carthaginians on the Mediterranean Sea. Rome wins the islands of Sicily, Sardinia, and Corsica in the Battle of Aegiates in 241 BCE. So Rome wins the first Punic War. The second Punic War is Hannibal and the animals. Hannibal attacks Rome across the Alps using battle elephants. Rome attacks Carthage directly before Hannibal can attack Rome, and Hannibal retreats from Rome to defend Carthage. So, Second Punic War, Rome wins. The Third Punic War is Savage Rome. The Roman Senate decides that it is best to destroy Carthage. The Romans burn Carthage to the ground and capture 50,000 people as slaves, and it is said that Rome plows salt into the earth to keep Carthage from coming back. So, the Third Punic War, Rome wins, and now Rome controls the entire western Mediterranean basin. Go to the next slide. Once the macho guys win the Punic Wars, it's time for the rise of imperialistic Rome, topic 6.4, and we learn that the Republic changes for 5 reasons. Landowners got rich, while farmers went into debt, just like in Greece. Also, latifundium owners, those are owners of large farming estates, take control of all agriculture, and because of this, equality between patricians and plebeians declines, and patricians seize control of the government and fight the social wars. That causes the economy to suffer with devaluation and inflation. In other words, the plebeians are down and out, and the patricians are large and in charge. Then this guy shows up, Julius Caesar, and here's what happens. In 70 BCE, Caesar rises to power, and at the same time, 2 guys, Pompey and Crassus, end a slave revolt and become co-consul. By 59 BCE, these 3 guys are sharing power in the first triumvirate, and Caesar goes to Gaul from 58 to 50 BCE. We then move from republic to dictatorship. Crassus gets himself killed, and around 50 BCE, it's going to be Caesar versus Pompey in the First Civil War. Pompey loses, and Caesar becomes dictator, at which time he forms an alliance with Cleopatra. By 44 BCE, Caesar is named dictator for life by the Roman Senate. Finally, we move from dictatorship to empire. In 44 BCE, a group of senators led by Brutus and Cassius kill Caesar on the floor of the Roman Senate. Unfortunately for Brutus and Cassius, Caesar had friends, Octavian his heir, and then Mark Antony and Marcus Lepidus. They're going to fight the Second Civil War, and they're going to beat Brutus and Cassius and eventually form the Second Triumvirate. Eventually, Marcus Lepidus gets out of the way, and now we have our Third Civil War, which is Octavian versus Mark Antony and Cleopatra. Mark Antony and Cleopatra lose, Octavian wins, and he becomes Augustus Caesar, the first emperor of Rome. Go to the next slide. After learning about that short and violent time in Roman history, we learned about the Pax Romana, topic 6.5, and Roman innovations, topic 6.6. The Pax Romana, or Roman peace, occurred from the end of Augustus Caesar's reign in 14 BCE to 180 CE. That's about 200 years, and it represents the height of Roman civilization. During this time, we see economic impacts, social impacts, and political effects. In economic impacts, we have enhanced trade. We have safe travel on Roman roads like the Appian Way, and prosperity and stability were promoted. Social impacts included stability returning to social classes. Augustus Caesar brings about moral reforms, and Rome has 1 million people, the first city in history to have that many folks living in it. For our political effects, the Senate remains as advisors. We have an imperial bureaucracy and a uniform system of laws, and we have good and bad emperors. We also have 6 major innovations in Roman civilization. In art and architecture, we have the Forum, Pantheon, Colosseum, Roman arches, and Corinthian columns. In science and technology, Ptolemy says that the Earth is the center of the universe. Not so good. And then we have Roman roads and aqueducts. In health and medicine, we have the first formal medical schools, public water system, and public baths. In language and literature, Latin is the root language and language of the church, and Virgil writes the Aeneid. In law, the 12 tables are expanded. We have innocent until proven guilty and the right to defend. And in religion, mythology expands, and then there's the new kid on the block, Christianity, which is outlawed, accepted, and finally adopted. Go to the next slide. Speaking of Christianity, we learned about early Christianity in topic 6.7, and then we learned more in the legacy of the Byzantine Empire, topic 7.3. We learned that Jesus Christ is the founder of Christianity, which has 4 beliefs. It's a monotheistic religion built upon Judaism, in which Jesus is the Son of God and the Messiah. Also, Christians believe in life after death, heaven and hell. Then we learned about the Bible or New Testament, which tells the life and teachings of Jesus and anticipated end-time events. Finally, we learned about canon law or Christian doctrine, which is set forth by the Council of the Apostles. Now, the Romans really don't like Christianity at first, but things will eventually change. Romans persecute Christians, then they try to slow the spread of the religion, then they legalize it, that's Emperor Constantine, and make it their official religion, that's Emperor Theodosius. All this happens as Christianity fills a moral void in late Rome. Late Rome's got a morality problem. Christianity will fill that void. Finally, Christianity splits during the Great Schism into the Roman Catholic and Greek Orthodox churches. We have different beliefs, differences in authority, and differences in location. In different beliefs, we have Greek instead of Latin. We have Christmas versus Easter. We have celibacy for Roman clergy, and then we have basic religious differences about how God works. When it comes to differences in authority, we've got the Pope versus the Patriarchs, and the Byzantine Empire does not accept the Pope as the leader of the church. Finally, with differences in location, the Roman Catholic Church is centered in Rome, and the Greek Orthodox Church is centered in Constantinople. Go to the next slide. Now that we've reached the height of Roman civilization, we need to talk about the fall of Rome, topic 6.8, and the geographic importance of Constantinople, topic 7.1. There are 3 reasons why Roman civilization declines. We have political issues in Rome and outside of Rome, we have economic issues, and we have social issues. Our political issues in Rome include weak emperors, a lack of succession, who takes over after the other guy dies, and a decline in military discipline. Outside Rome, we have increasing invasions, and because of these invasions, the empire splits in 2. We have the Eastern Roman Empire and the Western Roman Empire, and we're not done yet. Emperor Constantine unites the empire for a bit, and in doing so, he moves the capital from Rome to Constantinople. Even so, Germanic barbarians are taking over the West. Our economic issues: increased taxes, currency devaluation, high unemployment, and the population declines because of crop failures. People are starving to death. Finally, we have social issues, we have civil conflict, moral decay, which is leading a lot of Romans to Christian conversions, and a decreased military discipline. Because of all of this, Western Rome falls in 476 CE, at which time the Eastern Roman Empire becomes the Byzantine Empire, which is centered in Constantinople. And as you learned, Constantinople is a peninsula surrounded by water and protected on its land side by hills. Go to the next slide. The Western Roman Empire falls in 476 CE, but the Eastern Roman Empire becomes the Byzantine Empire, and it lasts for a long time. So we need to talk about Byzantine Contributions, topic 7.2, and the legacy of the Byzantine Empire, topic 7.3. There are 5 important Byzantine contributions. The empire is at its height under Emperor Justinian. This happens early in the empire's history, but that's when it's at its height. And Justinian says, I got to get a bunch of laws together that were Roman laws, so the Justinian Code records Roman laws. But remember the Nika revolts. Justinian might not be following the very laws that he's recording. Then we have icons, mosaics, and architecture, which come out of the Orthodox Church. That's the Hagia Sophia there. And the Byzantine military protects the empire from barbarians using things like Greek fire. Finally, Greco-Roman culture is preserved in Byzantine libraries. Also, Byzantine culture spreads to Russia via Black Sea trade routes, and Russia adopts Orthodox Christianity. So we see things like the Cyrillic alphabet and the onion domes on Russian Orthodox churches. Finally, the Byzantine Empire and Constantinople fall to the Ottoman Turks, who are Muslims. So the Western Roman Empire falls to barbarians, Germanic invaders, and much later, the Eastern Empire, the Byzantine Empire, will fall to the Ottoman Turks, who are Muslims. That's it for this lecture, and I look forward to seeing you in class.